By the end of this video, you're going to know the exact skill that made billions in television revenue and why 99% of entrepreneurs are invisible without it. But first, let me tell you about the room that changed everything. So I had mastered the art of making content impossible to ignore. For over 20 years, I'd proven it with billions of views, Emmy nominations, and shows that dominated culture. But when I started getting into rooms with highly successful entrepreneurs, I realized something. I could see exactly how to help them become unforgettable in their industries. But I'd have to climb a completely new mountain to do it. If you're a successful expert who's mastered your current role, but you can see a bigger opportunity waiting, one that would require you to build something entirely new, this story will show you what's possible when you're ready to climb higher. So I had climbed a mountain, pretty big mountains. At Fox 21, I worked on shows like Sons of Anarchy and Homeland. At A&E, I oversaw Dynasty for a while, Intervention, 60 Days In, helped create some of the biggest, most iconic shows in unscripted television, content that reached billions of people and generated hundreds of millions in revenue. I had 4 Emmy nominations. I represented the team internationally. I loved mentoring other execs. I led motivational groups across the industry. I was at the peak of what a network executive could achieve. But here's what I realized. I had a skill that could help anyone become unforgettable in their industry. And I was somewhat trapped in a system that wouldn't let me share it. Well, it wasn't my job. And just like Rebecca, who told me, I have all of these methodologies, but I can't articulate what makes me different from every other consultant. Or like Michael, who said, I'm great at what I do, but I feel like I'm all over the place when it comes to positioning myself. I knew exactly how to help them. I understood what made content addictive, what made people impossible to ignore, what created that magnetic pull that kept audiences coming back. But I couldn't share that knowledge. Certainly not in my corporate role. Let me tell you what I had learned in over 20 years of making content impossible to ignore. I understood the psychology of what makes people stop scrolling and pay attention. I knew how to create that binge-worthy quality that keeps audiences coming back episode after episode. I'd mastered the art of storytelling that creates emotional connection and builds loyal followings. Duck Dynasty wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural phenomenon because we understood how to make the Robertson family impossible to ignore. They weren't trying to be like everyone else. They were authentically, unapologetically themselves. And we amplified what made them the $2 bill in a wallet full of ordinary reality TV families. Intervention saved lives because we knew how to tell stories that created real impact, not just entertainment. We understood how to balance vulnerability with hope, how to show transformation in a way that inspired action. And 60 Days In broke new ground because we weren't afraid to be different. We created a format that had never been done before, and we made it incredibly compelling. These weren't accidents. They were the result of understanding what makes content and people unforgettable. But here's what started eating at me. I could see exactly how to help individual experts become just as unforgettable in their industries. But that wasn't my job. My job wasn't to help everybody else. I had a W-2 job. My job was to create hit television, and I loved every second of it. So when I took an expanded role at A&E, overseeing the real estate shows in our Homemade Nation block, I started getting into rooms with highly successful real estate entrepreneurs. Why? Because I needed to bring them on television. I also needed to understand the industry. So I had the greatest gift in the world. I was able to put people on television that got me in the door, and that's how I was met and introduced to so many real estate entrepreneurs. Now, these weren't just any entrepreneurs. I got lucky because these people were making millions, building empires, transforming communities. But here's what I noticed. Many of them were brilliant at what they did, but many times invisible in their markets. They had the expertise, they had the results, but they sort of sounded like everyone else. And I could see their $2 bill qualities immediately. I knew exactly what made them different, what stories they should be telling, how they should be positioning themselves. I understood what would make them impossible to ignore in their industries. But that wasn't my job. My job wasn't to help with them. But I did. My job was to create great television content featuring their work, not to help them build their personal brands or become unforgettable in their markets. And because no one really knew me outside the entertainment world, I didn't have a personal brand myself. We weren't allowed to. That wasn't something you did in entertainment. So I couldn't just start offering that kind of help to everyone. I was the invisible executive behind the shows, not a recognized expert in personal branding or business development. I realized I could help so many people, but I would have to climb a new mountain to do it. So that's when I started asking myself a question that would change everything. Am I actually making a difference by producing these television shows? Or am I just feeding the entertainment machine? Now, don't get me wrong. I've said this before. I loved what I did. The shows we created mattered. Intervention literally saved lives. Dynasty brought families together. 60 Days In opened people's eyes to important social issues. But I realized I was ready for a different kind of impact. I had climbed the mountain in television. I had reached the peak of what a network executive could achieve in my role at that time, but it wasn't high enough. I wanted to climb a higher mountain, one where I could take everything I'd learned about making content impossible to ignore and use it to help individuals become impossible to ignore in their industries. I wanted to help the consultant who was brilliant but invisible become the obvious choice in their market. I wanted to help the real estate professional who had amazing results but couldn't articulate what made them different become the $2 bill that clients would never forget. I wanted to help the entrepreneur who was great at what they did but felt all over the place with their positioning become crystal clear about their unique value. So here's what I discovered about myself. I love helping people without expectation of return. I always had. In the entertainment industry, that wasn't always rewarded the way it should be. But in the entrepreneurial world, that's exactly what builds lasting success. I realized that my natural ability to see what makes people and content unforgettable wasn't just a professional skill. It was my calling. I had spent over 20 years making television shows impossible to ignore. Now, I was ready. I was ready to help people become impossible to ignore. I was ready to take off the W2 golden handcuffs and start climbing a new mountain. One where I could own the process, control the outcome, and directly impact the lives of the people I was helping, like you. This wasn't about leaving because I wasn't happy. This was about being ready for more, ready for a bigger challenge, ready to use everything I'd learned to serve others in a way I never could in corporate America. I had mastered one mountain. Now, it was time to climb a higher one. And maybe you can relate to this feeling. Maybe you've mastered your current role, but you're ready for something bigger. Maybe you have the skills that could help others, but you're constrained by systems that won't let you share them. I feel you. I see you. Maybe you're successful where you are, but you know there's a higher mountain waiting for you. Maybe you're ready to take everything you've learned and use it to serve others in a way that truly matters. Maybe, just maybe, you're ready to become the $2 bill that people remember instead of just another expert in the crowd. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell you about the moment I realized I had to make a choice. Stay comfortable on the mountain I'd already climbed, or take the leap to start climbing a higher one. It's the story of how I discovered that everything I'd learned about making content impossible to ignore could be used to make you impossible to ignore. Here's the thing, this is day 2 of 8, and each day builds on the last. Do not miss tomorrow, because you're going to miss the moment that changed everything. And because you're helping me, you're listening, you're giving me feedback, I need help. And because I need help, I'm going to give you the Vibe Finder GPT for free. What is it? It helps you find your vibe. It's the first step to find out what makes you uniquely you. And then I have a Vibe Finder, a $2 bill brand audit. It's priced at $4.97, but I can only take a few more people. It takes hours of my time, and I really appreciate all of my clients so far. I want to help you in a way, but I can only do it for a limited time because it's leading to a bigger program that I'm creating. So it's half off right now. It's only $4.97, and I will be doing those in the future. It's just going to be at $9.97. So if you have any desire to work with me directly one-on-one, do it now before I don't do it anymore. So if you're ready to stop being constrained by systems that won't let you share your gifts and start being the $2 bill that people never forget, why don't you take the Vibe Finder GPT now? The link is below. It's going to help you get started. Because here's what I've learned. It's better to climb your own mountain than to stay comfortable on someone else's. Let me say that again. It's better to climb your own mountain than to stay comfortable on someone else's. Be unforgettable. Be the $2 bill. See you tomorrow for day 3 of 8.